Yeah, I remember when we got the offer and I rang my mum and my mum was like, are you sure you're not doing this guy? The investor said to us, what happens when you have kids? And I wish I turned around and said...
You built it, sorry, the balls are really chewy.
Yeah, I know, I just got it and I was like, it took me by surprise a little bit.
Hello guys, welcome to the Nova and Boba podcast, where we spill the tea on being a startup founder. So today we have the wonderful guest, Nicola. Could you give us a bit of an introduction to yourself and the story behind Cliq?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Nicola. I'm one of the founders of Cliq. Cliq is a social networking and community app, and it's all about connecting like-minded people through interest-based communities and in real-life events. Cliq actually came from a personal problem. I moved to London 3 years ago now, and I struggled to meet people when I first moved here. It's like, how can you be in one of the biggest cities in the world but actually struggle to find minded people? And I was using so many different apps. I was using Bumble BFF style, swiping, dating apps. So transactional, doesn't feel authentic. And on the other side, you've got things like Facebook groups or Meetup. They're both super outdated platforms you're meeting people on, and you don't really meet people on social media. Yeah,
Facebook groups are so outdated.
Exactly. So I realised there was a massive problem, and I thought it was just myself and Jason that were facing it. And then when I spoke to other people about it, everyone is having this issue, and everyone wants to meet someone new, no matter who you are, where you're from. Everyone's open to meeting new people, and I think now it's all about quality over quantity, and people really want to meet those like-minded people, but how do you find it? So when we had the idea, we're like, okay, this is a massive problem. We've built a business before, we can that hard to do it again. And that was about a year ago now. We launched, and now we're on this big mission to revolutionise how people use social networking, but also want to become this household name of, if you're looking to meet someone, come to Cliq, or if you're looking to build a community or promote your events, come to Cliq.
And I would love to dig into that. So you knew this was a problem, you knew you had built a app before. How did you really get from 0 to 1, from idea to like building the app? Yeah,
I think because we'd built something before, we knew the basics of a business and tech. None of us are technical founders. We don't come from a tech background. I actually don't really come from any business experience at all. I dropped out of university, decided to go travelling, was supposed to be like a 3-month trip, ended up being 3 years, and then had the idea for the first business whilst I was travelling, and that was a marketplace for freelance beauty professionals for them to get more work. But being a non-technical founder, and then where the hell do you start building an app or website? It's very difficult. So with that one, we found a very basic web developer on, I think it was like freelancer.com. I don't even know if that's still around.
I've never heard of it,
It's like a Fiverr.
Fiverr vibe,
And Jason started to learn how to code himself because we had so much free time because we were travelling, and built this very basic website. If I showed you that website, you would die. It was awful. But it got us where we are today, and just reiterated on that, and then we found really good web developers. And with this one, I think because we built that network already, we had people to turn to.
Yeah. So can we dig into your story from dropping out of uni, going traveling, and then building your business, then getting it acquired? Because a lot of entrepreneurs watch our podcast. It's their dream to get their business acquired. It's crazy. So take us through that journey.
Yeah, it's a big goal, and it's one that we never really thought would happen, especially so early on. So when I was in Australia, I was a makeup artist. I was a freelance makeup artist, and that was kind of my first, I'd say, like, step into the entrepreneurial world. You're like doing your own taxes, you're finding your own work, doing your own contracts, all of that kind of stuff. I never really had that experience before because I went straight from university into an office job to then traveling. So I never really had that knowledge behind me of what it takes to have your own business, even though at the time I didn't realise it was. And I really struggled to get work because we went to Melbourne and we ended up being there for 2 years, but it was just myself and Jason and a couple of friends. Let me say that again. So we had to build up our friendship circle and meet new people. We also had to find jobs, and then I was doing this freelance stuff on the side. I had to find my own clients, which I realised is very difficult when you don't know anyone. And I think beauty, makeup, all of that is very much a word of mouth industry. So you typically go to someone because your friend's been to them, or your mum, or whoever it is. And because I didn't have that in the area, I really struggled. And just building up my network and putting myself out there, I managed to get some really cool jobs, like on TV shoots and films and stuff like that. But I couldn't get those everyday going out on a weekend, bridal, weddings, bookings that kind of keep
consistency,
consistency, the stuff that you typically get at like weekends. because I didn't know no one. And I came home to Jason and I was like, it had been a couple of times I'd mentioned this issue that I was having. And I came home to him and I was like, why is there no platform? And I was like, wow, there's so many freelancers out there that also really need the help.
To be connected to makeup jobs,
So it just makes sense. And we were using like Airbnb, Booking.com all the time for traveling. I was like, why does this not exist for beauty? And he basically was like, let's just create it. Let's see what's out there. What we got to lose.
Where does that mindset come from? Because not everybody sees a problem and it's, I'm going to just build a business to do it.
No. And I don't think I ever had the mindset before I went travelling. It's very cliche, but I do feel like going travelling changed my life.
Did you find yourself?
Yeah, I found myself.
On your gut, yeah.
When I was younger, when I quit university, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was like, didn't even know what entrepreneurship was. I didn't really realise that anyone could start a business and anyone had access to that. I thought you had to come from money or come from a background where your parents had businesses to start your own thing.
Business, and
then I think going travelling just opened my mind up. I think one, you have so much free time. So me and Jason were sat on a beach for 4 or 5 months, travelling around, talking about life, talking about what we want. And I think it just opens your mind a little bit more. You're looking for things to do, so you're actively like reading new books, listening to podcasts, all those things you don't really have that much time for in everyday life.
That probably wouldn't have happened if you'd been in the UK, isn't it? Because I relate to that story because I only started my first company during the pandemic when there was like no noise, no going out. I was always sitting in my room all alone, and there's just time to think and that clarity. So that's brilliant that you've had that space to do that. And was really curious, then how did it go from there? You built it, sorry, the balls are really chewing.
Yeah, I know, I just got it and I was like, it took me by surprise a little bit.
So you're going to have to
chew it.
Yeah, don't take your time to chew. It's so funny because sometimes we just sit in the silence as people chew. So we'll just
you just hear me chewing. They're really chew. What are they made of?
It's tapioca. It's like starch. Yeah, and soaked in brown sugar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It took me by surprise.
Do you know, one time...
I was trying to be really chill about it. I was like, oh no.
This girl said she felt like assaulted by the balls when she drank them. And it was like really intense. I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. She didn't expect them to be in there.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah. Okay, so the question was, so you had this problem. You decided to go about building it. Yeah, tell us how you built it and then eventually how it got acquired.
Yes, I think the first steps for us was just figuring out how do you start a business, like literally Googling everything that could be Googled. We had no idea. And I think for us, we knew we were coming back to the UK in a couple of months' time, and we were doing a bit of a trip back through Asia again. And we're like, okay, we've got so much free time, but we're also not coming back to the UK with a job or anything to come back to. We'll start fresh. So for us, it was the perfect time to start a business, to try it. And it was, for us, it was like, what's the worst that could happen? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but let's try it.
How did you guys get the money? Do you mind if I interject there? Like to start the business? So
it was very cheap at the beginning in terms of how we built it. So we'd saved a decent amount of money through working in Australia, and that was travel. So we cut a bit of our travel time short to buy like a MacBook to start the website. And then everything else was just, we didn't have to pay for anything else. It was, I think we probably put about £2,000-3,000 into it at the beginning. So the initial risk wasn't that high. Because if we lost out on that money, we'd be like, okay, at least we tried. It's not the end of the world. Whereas some people will spend tens of thousands of pounds on trying something and it doesn't work out. The risk was so much lower. So we went off on this travelling trip, and we were like, Jason was like learning how to code this website in a day and working with this freelancer, and then we were like, we didn't have that many features, and we designed the brand ourselves on, I don't even know if Canva was a thing. Canva must have been a thing, but I don't think we used Canva.
Canva, like something adjacent.
Yeah. But when I look back, I feel like it would have been on Paint. Like, that was how bad the branding was.
I've not heard someone mention Paint since I was in primary school.
But I can't remember what we designed it on. It was this like blue logo. We spent about a month building this very basic website, and then we were sat in Sri Lanka on the beach one night, and we were like, let's just make it live, see what happens, and start building this kind of like social media audience, and which we started building prior to this. And we turned it on and we had like 100 sign-ups in the first few minutes. And we're like, wow, okay, like we really have something here. And then after a week it was like 1,000, and it was going up and up. And I knew a lot of people like in the industry just on social media that were willing to sign up. So it really took off. And I think we came back to the UK with maybe 2,000 sign-ups.
In a month?
Yes.
Crazy.
Which is crazy.
How did that feel? Because I guess you were solving a genuine problem. That's how you know people are, you're solving something great, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think we've always been really good at doing something small, testing on it, see if it works, and then making it bigger. And I think we've learned that over time, and we definitely do that with Cliq now, based on what we learned in the first business, is there's no point in launching something massive scale.
And then you don't know if people even want it.
Exactly, if you're not great.
You had your business going, 2,000 people, you came back to the UK after a month of starting your platform. How did you then go get it acquired?
So it's just on LinkedIn constantly, like just messaging every single investor.
Where are you doing that?
Money, anyone with a beauty brand, anyone that would take 5 minutes of our time. I was just messaging people with probably an avatar. It wasn't even anything.
How did you find the confidence to message people that I want your money? That feels so bold.
Yeah, it is. But I think what's the worst they're going to do? Just ignore you or not accept or say no. I think the first ones you make, you're literally sat there staring, refreshing your page, thinking, have they accepted me yet? And then after a while, you just forget about the people you've connected with anyway. And I think I was always quite cryptical in my message. It wasn't all about investment.
It was just like, can I get to,
Can I take 5 minutes of your time? I'd love to show you the deck. I'd love to get like your expertise. Rather than,
can I have money?
Yeah, literally. And then the next message will be like, we're looking for investment. But just building it up that way. And it took probably 3 months of a lot of no's, a lot of people telling us like, beauty doesn't make any money,
oh,
this
really?
isn't going to be a business. Yeah, like a lot of the investors were men.
Who said beauty doesn't make money? Like,
exactly.
there's loads of money there. Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll go and ask my wife, and it's just like, okay, come on then. But they just didn't understand the beauty industry.
Man's landscape, yeah.
But yeah, in the last 3 months, we had like 3 offers in 1 week. 2 of them were external investors, like angel investors. One was an angel syndicate, and the third one was about the acquisition. So it was the founder of Revolution, his beauty company.
Did you message?
Yes, it was a cold outreach. I think with that, right place, right time, they were going public.
Yeah.
Looking to expand their service offering from just products into services.
So
that's
you
really
made
what we're doing.
Yeah, you made your own acquisition opportunity by messaging. Wow.
Yeah, I always think, imagine if I never have sent that
Imagine.
message. You just don't know what's going to come from it. So that's why I think just send the message. The cold outreach does work.
It does work, you
get through to the right person. And yeah, he was like, I see the benefit of bringing it all in-house, moving down to London, having an office, having a team, everything we needed. We didn't have to raise money again, then we had to build the app and do a partial acquisition, which was then a full acquisition after a year. So the whole business was 3 years in total.
So when you got acquired, in terms of money, feeling, what was the vibe? You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember when we got the offer and I rang, was like, are you sure you're not being scammed? Because it was just something that you never even would believe
could happen
to us. Like, we started a business 1.5 years ago with no experience, not really put that much money behind it, and then scaled it to what we did was amazing. But then to also have someone that's like, I'm going to back you, was an amazing feeling. I think it just took the pressure off us a little bit. It was a different type of pressure. So now it felt less pressure of the business. It was more pressure on us to deliver. Yeah. So it was a different type of feeling. And then when we got the partial acquisition, it just felt like freedom. Even though it's so amazing, you're so proud, your identity's gone a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that was like your baby. And
now they bought it off you.
Anymore. I'm like, what are we going to do next? Are we even going to do anything together? We didn't really know what the future held after that. And then ended up with Cliq.
So what did you do after you'd sold?
Went travelling again.
So it's like back to square one.
Let's go to the beach. Let's go figure it out. And I think that period afterwards, we wanted to meet people. Yeah. So we'd been in London for a year. We'd not really made any effort to meet anyone new.
Because you were working on your...
And all the contacts we'd made were beauty industry contacts. Probably never going to use them again. And I was like, okay, what do we want to do now? And I was like, okay, I need to get out. I need to network, meet people. Was going to every networking event under the sun I could find. A lot of really not very good ones. Some that were great, some that I made connections, but a lot of the time I felt like I was wasting my time. And Jason was doing the same, like trying to meet people, founders, even just friends.
Yeah, like, just in London,
just people. And that's how we started to realise it's really difficult to meet people.
Because when you're not like in uni or you haven't been living in London, how do you meet people? I don't know, actually.
Exactly. You just try and figure it out. You spend all your time scrolling on Instagram, finding events and things for you to go to. But then we all want to spend less time on our phone. So why are we spending more time trying to find things? It's so difficult to then actually find something. But then you've also got to really put yourself out your comfort zone to go to something on your own.
It's a lot,
The first event I went to on my own, I was petrified. I was shaking. I didn't know what to do with myself because I have to go up to introduce myself to a stranger and just have a conversation with them.
Yeah, new adult friendships can be really difficult to make because you're not in a situation that allows you to meet really.
Exactly, and going up to a stranger in a room with you don't know anything about them, so difficult. So we knew it was a massive problem, and then we went away. So we went to Bali, and we're like, okay, let's figure out our lives.
I love how you always escape to Bali when
oh my God,
you just
I know.
have an issue in life.
It's my favourite place ever.
Mm.
It's honestly, there's just something about it. There's this energy there, and I think the people there are so nice, and there's so much community there. So when we're out there, we noticed that there was so many run clubs and people co-working. Like, you'd sit in a cafe, someone will come up to you and chat with you, whereas in London, someone comes up to you, I'm like, why is this person talking to me? What do they want?
You don't
like,
really
you just
do that.
put your head down a lot of the time, and you're just on this mission to get stuff done. Whereas Bali, they're so open to this community feel, and I was like, wow, this is so nice. Does this exist in London? And I was looking, and at the time there was some community groups and things, but it wasn't really a big thing like it is now. This was 2 years ago, so not that long ago, and obviously community's always been a thing.
Always, since the beginning of time.
But I think recently there's been this massive social push of community, which made us feel like it just came out of nowhere.
People are really valuing the importance of community. Even businesses, they're now rushing to build communities for their businesses and things like that.
Exactly. So this was about 2 years ago, and at the time there was community groups starting to form, and I feel like a lot of the brands were doing it. There was quite a few run clubs and stuff like that happening. I noticed the massive trend in Bali, and I was like, I know this is going to be the next biggest way for people to meet people. Just because I see it in the industry, a few trends. And I was like, there needs to be a platform for this. Like, why can't you find everything all under one roof? Why do we need to sit scrolling on social media to find these things? And none of the apps make it easy for people to meet people, so why not combine everything together? We're like, okay, we've got free time again. Let's try and put together like a bit of a business plan. Jason was like, you go to one cafe in Bali and I go to the other. And he was like, I'll figure out like the tech, because he's more on the tech and product side of things, where I'm more like marketing and brand. And he was like, and you put like a bit of a brand together, and let's come back and see. And I was sat down and I was like, just looking into what there had been before or what there was now. It's like, wow, everything's so outdated. All the apps out there are very like, I want to say cringy in terms of making friends. They're like friendship apps. And
that BFF Bumble, I didn't know anyone used that.
A lot of people do use it.
Do they?
But don't really find the connection. It's like dating apps. People are swiping and they're just messaging and they just ghost and that kind of thing. But also I think it doesn't feel that safe to go meet a random stranger for a coffee that you've just met on an app, and you just swipe through and be like, hey, do you want to have coffee? Yeah, sure, see you tomorrow.
It doesn't feel the natural way to do something.
Exactly. Whereas community, it's like you go to that book club, or
you've got that interest. There's loads of people there. You can and it's not as intense. No, imagine going to a coffee one-on-one. I didn't know people did that.
I feel like unless it's in a professional setting, you've got something to work towards. If you're going to meet as a friend, it's like a friend date, and then what happens if you don't like this person?
Just ghost the friend as well.
What do you do after that? So everything just felt so inauthentic, and I was like, okay, I want to create a really inclusive brand that anyone can feel they're part of. And the name Cliq just
clicks.
And it just came to me, and I was like, wow, I feel like we've really got something. So I designed a bit of a brand. It was quite basic, just like some colours and stuff. And then Jason designed the app, and we came together, and I was like, I've got the name, I know what it's going to be. I've literally looked, the trademarks there, I've registered it, everything that we
You're
need.
like, round 2, Jason, we're going.
And he'd like 10 app screens. And I was like, wow, this is coming together so easy. I felt like it was meant to be. Like, it felt like fate. It felt like we were meant to do that at that moment in time, because it felt so easy. And we ended up, cutting our trip a little bit short. And we launched like November 2023, around that time.
Nice. Okay, so we've got the next section of the podcast. I'm going to do a bit of bubble tea analysis about you.
Oh my God.
So, you ordered a matcha latte bubble tea. You said you'd never had bubble tea before. And you're like, I like matcha, so I might like it in bubble tea. And you ordering matcha, you seem cool, calm, and collected.
Oh, I like it.
Do you? Do you think it's true?
Yeah,
Have I made that up? I could be wrong.
No, I think it is. I'm quite calm.
Yeah, it feels like you're good under stressful situations.
It depends. I'm a massive overthinker, but I feel like I can keep it calm on the outside. Like, no one really knows what's going on.
And what are you overthinking about?
I think running a business is so stressful. There's so many things that happen all the time. So like managing that internally can be quite tricky, because you're the only person that can do anything about it. So then there's such high pressure. But I think I do cope pretty well under pressure.
Are you dealing with that pressure day to day?
Some days feel easier than others, I'd say. Some days I'm like, no, it's fine. Whatever's meant to be will be. I'm also very much believe in the universe, trust that your path's written. So sometimes I'm like, just let the universe do its thing, it'll all be fine. But it's really hard not to stress as a founder, especially when there's things that are out of your control, or raising investment, all these things, quite a stressful process. And employing people, having a team, there's other people that rely on you now, so it can be quite stressful. But I think I do deal with the stress pretty well, I'd say.
How do you deal with the stress?
I'm very good at taking myself out of the situation. So I'm not someone that will be stressing and will be sat on their laptop just waiting for something to happen. I'm like, just go for a walk, put your phone down, go to the gym, just anything to take yourself out of the situation, because there's no point waiting for the stress to disappear when you can actually do something to help the stress to disappear.
I've heard, is it Jeff Bezos says that people are actually stressed from inaction rather than action, and that just reminds me of what you said, that you actually have to do something to be less stressed rather than and I always think the best ideas don't come from literally sitting in front of a laptop. It is when you're doing something that's not related. I just think getting out for a walk in the fresh air, it does wonders for your mental health. We don't do it enough. Sometimes we just sit there in our flat, haven't moved, haven't
for
seen
like
the sun
hours because we're like grinding, grafting, getting work done. But it's so important to take like 5-10 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, for yourself.
Brilliant insight for that as well. Have you found community using your own platform? Like, is it, because the thing is, what struck me is that being a founder is kind of a lonely journey. I know you do have Jason, but you know, you're building this community platform to find friends, but by building a startup, this could be a wrong assumption, but I'm assuming maybe some of your relationships have fallen to the wayside because you are so busy. What are your thoughts?
Definitely. I think in the beginning, I struggled with managing like personal and business. I feel like I've got better. I've got a lot more balance. But I also have my own community on Cliq for female founders.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I've always been going to these networking events and, like I said, wasting a lot of my time. So me and my friend that I actually met at a networking event was like, why don't we start our own community? Why don't we bring people to us? As opposed to constantly spending money, searching, wasting our weekday evenings going out to try and find people. Why don't we bring people to us? So we started our own community called the Supper Series. And it started as a dinner supper club for female founders where they could connect and meet new people. But we did our first networking breakfast in February. We've got a networking event coming up at the end of March, doing like panel talks, lunches, breakfast, workouts, everything. Because
workouts too, nice.
It's so hard for female founders
to find time
for other female founders. And you don't sometimes want to just meet female founders to talk about business. You want to do stuff together, on the weekend, or go to a fitness class, whatever it is. And you want to build like friendships with people that are doing the same thing as you. I
agree, because talking about your business all the time with the people, like it's a lot sometimes.
Exactly. And you just want someone that gets it, that you can go.
But they're just your friend as well.
Exactly, they're your friend as well, so you can do normal things. It doesn't always have to be professional.
How does your community compare to school?
Okay, School's the American
the American by Alex Hormozy.
Yes. So with us, we're all about social first. So I feel like a lot of the platforms out there are like white labeled platforms where you can build a community, but it's very professional. It's like B2B. You've got your courses in there, and it's a closed network. So you've got to actively invite people into that. Whereas for Cliq, it's more that social element. So loads of run clubs, walk clubs, book clubs, social clubs. But we also give that added discoverability of people down the app being like, I'm interested in yoga, and finding a yoga group and finding a yoga event and joining it. So within the app, we have different sections. We have the community section, and then there's like group chats, there's FAQs, there's news feeds, there's chats, everything you need in one place. And then we have an events section. And events, we do paid tickets, free tickets. Every event has its own group chat. You can see who's going. We have wait lists, everything everyone needs to manage their event and community in one place. To have everything in one app will make it easier for a community leader to manage.
That's really interesting, because I was talking to my friend on the weekend. She loves reading and wants to make a book club, but just didn't know how to go about it. Is it WhatsApp? Get her on Cliq, and then have people that can just join by seeing it, which is a really that's the kind of the hardest thing about it, isn't it? Getting people to come. This section is called the reali-tea. Could you spill the tea on running a business with your boyfriend?
Yeah, when we first had the idea for the first business, it really made sense to do it together. We were both so aligned with it, and we're like, okay, it's like our little baby. Let's go for it and let's see. And we learned a lot within that first business. Like at the beginning, myself and Jason were trying to do everything together. So loads of meetings would be taken together. Everything we did, we get each other's approval on, and we didn't really have separate roles. And until we got the acquisition, we didn't realise how important that was. Because we were overseeing everything, so we're involved in everything. And we realised we had very different skill sets. And also very different personalities. Like I said, I'm more on the calm side, where maybe Jason's more on the fiery side. So we balance each other out. And I think there's pros and cons of having a business with your partner. It's all consuming. I think I was saying before this, like, we lived together, we worked together, we socialised together, we had the same friends.
Oh, everything. Really? You have the same friends?
So a lot of the stuff we do together. Yeah. But also, we've been so used to doing everything together. Like, we traveled
so it's just
for
your
3
life,
years, just me and him.
So for you, it's good.
Yeah, like, it does have pros and cons, but it really works for us.
And have investors ever questioned that? Because I've heard people say that when they see people in a relationship, they have questions and they're not so maybe wanting to invest because if anything happens, like, you've lost. I don't know. This is what I've seen.
Yeah. All the investors we've got right now, they love it. They're super supportive, and they always say to us, like, you work really well together. They can see our energy, and they've always loved that about us. We have had a few meetings where people are like, are you in a relationship?
Oh.
And we're like, yes. Why does that matter? And they go off on this tangent about how they found a couple and something awful happened and the business shut down. All these things. I'm like, just because that happened to one person.
And it happens to people who aren't in a relationship, doesn't it? Yeah.
I know people that have met someone that day and made them a co-founder the next day. You don't know this person. Like, how can you trust them?
You know him deep, yeah.
Exactly.
Deeply,
We've been together since school. We've been together for so many years. We know each other so well. But also, that trust is ingrained in us. And if we need to solve a problem at 10 p.m. at night, he's in the next room.
Yeah.
I don't have to call him up and be like, are you free?
Yeah.
We can just sort stuff out so easily.
I want to dig in even further because I saw a Grace Beverly interview. She was saying that only 2% of venture capital goes into female-led businesses. And feel free to answer. You don't have to answer this if you want to, but this is just me really digging deep. But she was asked by investors if she was going to have children in the next 3 years or something. Or I can't remember the exact timeline. But what do you feel about that? And have you ever had that situation?
We've had one thing before, and it was actually a couple thing. And the investor said to us, well, what happens when you have kids? And I wish I turned around and said, I do have a kid. It's like, oh, like, how do you know? You don't know anything about me.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
They don't know your situation. They don't know if we want you. They don't know anything about us. I think to say that to people is so bad. And also, why does it matter?
Because apparently, Grace Beverly was saying legally it has to be declared if anyone was going to be on maternity leave or something. I don't know enough about it, but I just wondered what your experiences were.
Yeah, I've heard so many horror stories, especially if like solo women founders speaking to male investors, get asking those questions and all of that. I think, I don't know why it matters. I get it, because it's such a crucial point of your life, but you'd never ask. You never ask a man that, are you going to have kids? And I get it, they're not the one carrying the child, but still they have such a big involvement. Like, why do they not get asked these questions?
Yeah, fair dues. Brilliant. So you built Cliq with 0 marketing spend. How did you pull that off? Because a lot of people don't have money. And how are you making that work?
Yeah, we figured out really early, go after communities that already exist on other platforms. So find the run clubs on Instagram, figure out what they're using. Typically they'll have a WhatsApp or a Discord or a Slack or something for chats, and then they might have a Facebook group, they might have Eventbrite for ticketing, might have a white label platform. Then they're also trying to manage their social media. It's quite a lot of platforms for them to manage.
That's a lot of platforms,
So getting to speak to them and telling them that you don't need to use all these platforms, you can use one centralised platform for everything. It's also going to market it for you and do so much more. So with Cliq, if a community is using us full time, we help them with event organisation.
Do you?
Finding a venue, maybe it's a brand sponsor.
Oh, nice.
We invite them to our own events. So building our own community of community leaders, which I think sets us apart from having just a WhatsApp chat and having no help. We're really here to help people like collaborate and work with each other. So getting them to understand the benefits of Cliq. And then they sign up to Cliq and they're like, okay, we're going to shut down our WhatsApp group. They bring all the members with them. So overnight, we can get like 2,000-3,000 members from one community because they've decided to use us. And early on, we figured out that was really working. So that's been our strategy ever since, is go after the communities that already exist. It's the one-to-many approach. We don't need to go to the 1,000 people and tell them to download it.
Just that one
person. And that's why we really look after our community leaders. So doing events for them, inviting them to things, just being there, having them on WhatsApp, whatever it is, just having their contact. They feel like they personally know us as a team, so they trust us enough to bring new users with them. So if we look after them, they look after their own community.
That is brilliant. And what an amazing strategy that you can just bring one person, they bring everyone. So it could be grown like super fast.
Exactly. And I think even when we do spend, which we're raising now for that kind of like marketing spend, when we do that, it will still be a lot of proportion of it go after communities already exist. And now we're looking at influencers. So a lot of influencers and content creators either have their own communities or they're wanting to start their own community. I think now people are realising that it's not enough just to have an audience.
It isn't.
They don't buy your products anymore.
Did you hear that story where they asked an influencer with how many million followers to sell one t-shirt? And she couldn't even do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I think people buy from people, they need a connection.
Exactly. And I think when influencers first came out, everyone was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This person's recommends this product and I buy it straight away. But now I think the value of that has gone down slightly. And we know that it takes us like 7 or 8 times to see something before we purchase it. So influencers now are realising that they need to build some form of community, whether that's online or offline. So a lot of them are creating their own kind of like in real life experiences, run clubs, that kind of thing. So now this year, one of our strategies is go after influencers, either get their existing communities to come onto Cliq or try and educate them on why they should have a community. Same with brands as well. A lot of brands now are starting communities. So you see like Gymshark, Free Soul, all these amazing brands doing these in real life experiences. That's what sets them apart from other brands.
It's true.
So now building communities for brands as well as a place to exist, and then we've got everything in one place.
Yeah, brilliant. And you do a lot of work, and what's the best productivity hack you swear by?
So I recently just got Grace Beverly's productivity planner.
Nice.
Have you seen it?
I've got it actually.
Have you?
Yeah.
I got the digital.
Oh, you got the digital version. Nice.
So I've had the diary before, but it's just like carrying it around. So I got that digital one because it's so hard. I think as a founder wearing all the hats, there's so many different things that you need to be doing, and to focus on those different things all in one day, and then just trying to have half an hour to myself in the mornings where I don't look at my phone, because as soon as you open that phone and you see the notifications, the emails, off on tangent, you can't control the rest of the day. So I'm really important to have that time for you in the morning. So
do you just keep your phone off? Or?
Yeah, keep my phone off, do whatever it is, like try and meditate or do some exercise or like journal or just like sit, have a cup of tea, whatever it is, before work, which means getting up earlier to do these things. But I'd rather have that because I know that I'll be peaceful
you control
the day. Whereas if you wake up and the first thing you reach for is your phone, it's just like the day just turns into chaos. So having those moments there, and then I'm trying to be stricter before bed as well. I'm trying to have no screen time, like an hour before bed.
That is honestly, I want to do that. I've wanted to do it for years, and I've never ever gone to bed.
Do you have the limits on your phone? So
I just turn them off.
After a certain time, mine just shuts down everything apart from calls and texts, just in case someone needs to contact me. Ooh. But you can shut it down, so all your apps just completely shut down.
Isn't it? Can't you just put them?
You can say forget.
Yeah, forget this.
If you want to. So you've got to have a strong mindset to not forget.
Yeah, I've had friends, they try to put things on grayscale. I tried that. It didn't work.
Yeah, it's hard. I think when everything's so accessible through our phones and we're literally glued to it, it's in our hands constantly. We feel like we can't live without it. It's so difficult. Yeah. But I think just trying to have time without your phones.
You're quite set with that. You try and not.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to try and follow suit. Yeah, how do you balance scaling fast and maintaining the good quality of an app?
We have an approval system at the back end, so we can see every user that signs up, every event that's created, every community. So we're quite strict on what goes through, because we understand that when people download the app, they have a certain perception straight away. And there's been other apps out there where it's allowing anyone to create a community but also keeping it there, and a lot of people don't understand how hard it is to build a community. And we've had people start communities where it's like my club and it's like a picture of a tree.
Oh no, that's right.
So we're like, no. Whereas I've been on other apps and they let that through. That just makes the app look really unsafe, unreputable, and not trustworthy. You're going to bounce from the app straight away. You can download it and be like, that's not for me. Whereas for us, maintaining that standard of the communities we have on there is really important. It's not that no one can create a community. It is that if you are creating your own community or starting from scratch, let's help you do that. Let's educate you on what it takes to build a community. Let's advise you. Maybe we should create a logo. Maybe we should do this to help them to get to that level. Yeah, brilliant. And if you had to, do this app all again, what's one thing you think you would do differently? I think in the early stages, the people that you get on board is the most important, especially when you're still figuring things out yourself, because you can be so swayed by people's opinions and what they want from you and what they want the app to be. I think in the early stage we might have got the wrong kind of people involved, and the tech's so important to us, so the tech is the product.
Yes.
Like, it's everything. If we don't have the tech, we have nothing. And I think finding the right tech people, if you're a tech company, is very important. And it's hard to find because I think agencies out there, especially in London, can be so expensive, and can take so long to build something. So our tech at the moment is outsourced, which is amazing because it's quicker. So I think it's really important to find good tech people. And the way we found good tech people in the end was go to founders and ask them for recommendations.
Yeah.
So like we went to probably 10 different founders, like, what tech team do you use? And they told us their like honest experience, and the one that we chosen, they've been with them for 3 years. So I was like, okay, that's a really good sign. And then we spoke to a few other people that had used them, and I think like get recommendations from founders, because you're not afraid to tell
the real story,
the truth, and be honest. Someone asked me for advice, I tell them the honest opinion, because I wouldn't want someone to go down a route that I've been down and it hasn't really worked out for me. So I think being honest is one of the most important things you can do as a founder. But then I think also just trusting your gut. If you think someone's a bad person or someone, it's not going to work out, just trust it, because it always ends up right in the end.
Yeah. Brilliant. And this is the final section, which is going into a bit of the future about Cliq and where you see yourself and the company. What is your long-term vision for the future of social networking?
Oh, I think it will be this hybrid model of online and offline.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone wants fully online now. Everyone's getting so sick of
it, And people are getting quite angry at them, actually. Yeah,
exactly. And it can't be fully offline. Because how do you make those connections? So you need the tech to do. So I think the next social networking app that's going to be the next big one is going to be that hybrid model of both. And it's going to be something that's super authentic and, exactly what Cliq's doing, so...
Brilliant. And do you have any advice for aspiring founders who want to follow in your footsteps?
Just go for it. I think you don't know until you start making those steps what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I think making those early steps is really important. It doesn't have to be like go and quit your job tomorrow and start a business. Like you can start really small. But I think just going for it and starting something, that's the hardest thing that you can do.
Yeah.
I think when I look back, the hardest thing that I ever did was probably making that decision in Australia to spend $3,000 of our savings to not travel, to buy a MacBook and start a business. Probably one of the hardest things. And same with Cliq, it was that decision to go from having nothing to do to being like, I'm going to work on this.
Yeah.
That's always the hardest decision that you'll make, and there'll be so many hard things along the way. But I think once you've jumped into it,
the path becomes clearer, doesn't it?
And there's no looking back. Things start happening for you, and if it's meant to be, your path's already written. So you'll notice things start slipping into place. But I think just starting small is really important if you can't go all in.
And final section of the podcast, this is your free space to just share your last thoughts or anything you feel like you want to leave people with.
Download Cliq, go find a community, join a community, put yourself out your comfort zone, and follow our journey on socials.
Yay! Thank you, Nicola.